Hey, what's up, everybody? Navid Moazzez here, and we're welcome to this exclusive Virtual Summit Mastery case study. I'm here today with my VSM graduate, Devin Slavin, and he was really successful in putting together his online course creation summit. And today we are going to get into how he did it and how he implemented some of the material I share in my program more in depth in Virtual Summit Mastery and the results he got. I know a lot of you guys, you're interested in the results. Does my program even work? Does Virtual Summit Mastery get results for students? And I can tell you, well, it does, but I always like to hear it from the students themselves. And that's why I'm bringing you here, Devin. So warm welcome and happy to have you here.
Oh, thanks so much, Navid. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so excited to share results from my summit and really, endorse what you're doing here, because not out of obligation by any means, but because I've had such a great experience and so much success with your program, Virtual Summit Mastery, that I'm here to just tell everyone to check it out. You got to do it. So
awesome.
Great to be here.
Awesome. So let's start, first of all, why did you want to do a summit in the first place? I think it's important to start there. Like, where were you? Where's your kind of like the background in getting you in here, like to do your summit? And then we get into kind of the before and after before we get into some other strategies.
Yeah. So great question. So basically, a little over a year ago, I actually quit my job, and what I was doing was helping doing the online business aspects of launching online courses, virtual courses, things like that. Decided to go off on my own path and do that with other people outside of that group, so I could work with anyone I wanted to, things like that. So I went off on my own, and I did not have an email list at all. So I started from scratch. And so I was doing all of those best practices that you can do to build your email list, doing webinars, podcast type stuff, blog posts, things like that. And it took me probably about 9 months to get about 500 subscribers in that case. And I was thinking, I had experience before having an email list and the power of being able to directly market programs and provide value from an email list. So I knew I wanted to go big with it, and that was the next thing I needed to do. And I found out about your work and Virtual Summit Mastery, and I said, okay, I've got to do this. So that's kind of how it went.
So I want to make the distinction here where you were before. So let's start, with the before, like you did the summit. You said you did a few tactics here and there, and how many email subscribers did you have before you did your Virtual Summit, before you started this process with Virtual Summit Mastery?
Yeah, basically roughly about 500 people on my email list. Yeah, so I'd done all those different strategies that I mentioned.
The exact number we said before, I think we shared it before, 460, right? Was that the exact?
Yeah, something less than that. Yeah, because of the opt-outs and things over time, people.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so even less.
That's great to know. So pretty much I'm gonna share this for everyone here. So there's pretty much 4 buckets you can fall into when you're like considering this. So either you're just starting from scratch, you have like not even your idea nailed down yet, not even your market, then you're in the first bucket. We have some great case studies there, but you were actually in the second bucket. You had no email list to a very small email list. Maybe you've been blogging, maybe you've been podcasting, doing a lot of other stuff, but you didn't see a lot of traction. And that's kind of the group you fell into. You actually had some expertise. So you kind of had your market already. So you were in the second group. And then we have, the third group, which like people like Chandler Bolt might fall into. You might have, 5 to even 7-figure business. You have some online courses, defined, and then you want to take things to the next level pretty much. You want to get there. And then we have, some, consultants, we have authors, coaches, speakers, and even professionals like real estate agents, insurance agents. They fall into bucket 4. And in this case, we're focusing on bucket number 2. That's kind of what the main focus here. How do you go from no email list, but you defined your market, to a few thousand email subscribers? That's pretty much what it is. So let's start there and share some real results you got from your summit. 460 before. What did it look afterwards? What's the results after taking Virtual Summit Mastery? Specifically email subscribers, revenue from All Access Pass, and maybe even the course you were selling there.
Yeah, so I was basically, okay, so we did the summit. We had, like you said, 460. Afterwards, we had 4,000 email subscribers, and this is a matter of weeks. We also had $30,000 in sales for the all access pass. So people who decided to purchase the set of recordings and a few other bonuses that we included. So, and like you and I communicated a little bit ago that, I actually had a goal that was way less than 30,000. So I wasn't even aiming for that. And so I think I tripled the goal that I was going for using your system. So that was incredible. And then afterwards, after my summit ended, I launched my course Creators Bootcamp and had 45 participants in that. We have 45 participants and did about $15,000 in sales with that. So overall, about $45,000 in sales, 4,000 people on my email list. I actually forgot to mention to you that we started a new Facebook group as part of the summit, and that has about 1,350 subscribers in that, or people part of the group, and a lot of cool engagements happening there still. So lots of great things happening.
I mean, that's awesome. I think, your results really good, like 4,000 to you went from pretty much 460 subscribers, not generating too much, revenue in your business to, almost, this is just in a few weeks, getting almost to, $50,000 in sales. And now, I'm pretty sure that you could potentially hit even six figures your first year in business, which is pretty cool. And I think that's maybe what you're aiming for. But, first things first, that's cool. Yeah. We know your results here. You got results from going through the program. But let's talk about a little bit, the idea for your summit. How, you mentioned a little bit how it was born, but talk about that a little bit. Was it always clear to you to do the course creation summit? Was that something you always had in mind here?
No, yeah, a little, I had that idea. That was the idea and one of my main ideas, but I definitely came in with a couple of ideas and had went through the process that you laid out, and basically it helped me hone in on my choice. I work with thought leaders and people that are out to make the world a better place. And so I used to, prior to the summit, was more specific to that. And I decided to open it up to work with anyone who wanted to do online courses. And that was a strategy piece. And I got clear about that through doing the virtual summit mastery process.
That's awesome. And I think important to note here that you had, you were at the stage, you were not like in the, what I shared just recently. I shared bucket one. If you have no market, this is be focusing like you have actually defined kind of your topic, which is kind of bucket two. You know your topic, but you might not have the traction. You might not have the email list you want. And that's the position you were in when you came to Virtual Summit Mastery, and just taking the program, going through it, implementing every step of the way. You came up with the idea more. You actually, maybe you can share a little bit how you used the Facebook group there to come up with your name and the positioning of the summit. I think that's something you did really well there, and sharing your updates throughout the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. First thing I have to say about the Facebook group is it's incredible. It's now, it's like my go-to Facebook group for ideas. And, throughout this process of, designing and launching my summit, I was just in there asking any question, including, like you said, the name. I wasn't sure about the name, and I thought I had my idea, and I actually did a quick poll, and within a few hours, it was boom, 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 boom. Everyone said Online Course Creation Summit. So I was like, okay, I don't even have to think more about this. It's awesome. Done. Yeah. And so that was really cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. And and now it's just growing. It's like, just getting more and more engaged. People even asking questions. I used to, I'm still very active in the community, still is like, hundreds of people in there, but still like people get, they do their summits. We have the graduates in there, so they constantly help out. And, it's just a very valuable community. People are very helpful, and not anyone, competes with other people for ideas or anything like that. It's a friendly, safe place to be part of, I think. And that's why I guess it's been so engaged too, and helping a lot of people in the process. So that's awesome. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, people might say, okay, you grow your email list with 4,000 people. Well, how did you do that? What's the main methods? I guess you can just share, like, what was the ways you used your summit to just grow your email list? How did you do that?
Yeah, so inviting interviews with speakers for the summit being the main event, and inviting them to promote as their own affiliate. So they would be able to promote, and then when there were sales from the summit, they would get a commission based on that. So they have incentive to promote because they get exposure to a large audience and they also make a commission. So it's kind of a win-win right there. We also did some Facebook ads, and using the methods, you have great Facebook training in Virtual Summit Mastery. So we did Facebook ads to bring in leads and did a couple other PR experiments that were pretty good. But I would say number one was having the speakers promote to their lists and some affiliates.
So like would you say, like, something I teach in VSM, which is kind of different, is we don't require, like, we don't say straight up, hey, you're going to promote the summit, you're going to do this, right? We kind of take a different approach in building the relationship first, or at least we focus on the relationship. That doesn't mean that you can't get someone, you know, that you haven't had a relationship. Maybe they just like you, or you have a good connection and they decide to mail. That happened to me a lot. You know, people, you know, think it's a great event. And I think number one, relationship. Number two, epic content. And I guess then it comes to, you know, having communication with your speakers. And I think, you know, that's what you did. You had some relationships and you had, I guess, some not, but they still shared it with you. You did some cold outreach and actually got a decent response. Would you say that's pretty accurate how it went down?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that was a key distinction that you made up front of not requiring. I had a lot of speakers say, oh, I'm not required to promote. Okay, I can do this. And then they still ended up promoting afterwards. They didn't have to promote. They ended up choosing to promote. So that was really cool. So I think that's a key thing, and focus on the relationship.
Yeah, and you got, I mean, you mentioned this to me before, but I think you got about 400 sales for your summit. That's like 400 customers coming in. That's like 400 people purchasing from you. And you had, how many sales did, I mean, you had like developing courses before and all that, but for your, let's talk your personal brand for you. What was the biggest success prior to this, like doing something? Well, I mean, this must have been, how did you even feel to get your first sale for the summit, if you back up a little bit?
Oh yeah. Okay. We'll start with that. That was awesome. I mean, it was very quick. It was basically instant, you know, upon as the promotion started.
Sending out an email to, probably sending out like an email to your own list or something like that, and getting in, or some of your, one of your partners promoting and things. Actually, I helped out a little bit with your promotion, and that, because I do that if it's relevant to my audience, and then it just worked well. It's just like a lot of people purchased. You had a really high conversion. I guess that helped also with, you know, some speakers, they wanted to share it more, and more affiliates also.
Yeah, I think that was big. And, you know, to answer your second question, you know, the difference was, you know, the course launches that I was doing, obviously smaller and a lot more work to get it out there. You know, the difference between having to just really, like, I mean, we all put everything we've got into what we're doing, but the difference between prior to having that email list was basically me really having to reach out to people and say, can you share this on Facebook for me? You know, like, I mean, which is a great strategy, but you know, for having to do that with any time you want to launch something, to really do all these little tiny things that don't really result in big stuff.
It is not as targeted as if you have an email list. I'm all for personal outreach too. It actually works really well, especially if you don't have an email list. But I think having the email list is just like, you know, I mean, I don't really do much personal outreach anymore. Maybe I should. I mean, I should do some, but not too much if it's just like for a launch. I like to be relevant to my audience and not like spam other people if they're not interested. So it's like, people gave me permission, I'd like to market to them. So that's just what an email list can do for you. But if we just shift gears a little bit and kind of move forward here, like to possibly even giving people some, you know, some of your tips. Like, you've been through this now. You've been through Virtual Summit Mastery. You've been hosted your own successful virtual summit. Do you have some tips to people who are considering like doing a virtual summit maybe for the first time? And, you know, they're going through this, they're a little bit like maybe on the edge if they should do it. And, you know, some tips to them, first timers here, they want to do this summit.
Absolutely. Yeah. And in terms of just making the decision, I would say, you know, the opportunity that doing Virtual Summit Mastery is that taking your idea and just catapulting, you know, like expanding on whatever you're planning on doing or have been doing with your business, and just creating so much attention, buzz, so many more people finding out about it than they would have without doing a summit. And also you're also getting endorsement from so many people, versus if I was doing Facebook ads for something without doing a summit, I would not necessarily have, you know, they're just checking out an ad, but I have so many people saying, hey, come check this out. I was a speaker on this interview or on this summit. So everyone's excited about it. And the positioning that creates is just huge. So, people see that. And so that's kind of like, if you're thinking about it, definitely if you want those things, then, those are some really good reasons to do a summit. And in terms of tips, I mean, there's quite a lot of things, but I would just say follow Navid's, what he's sharing about building relationships, use a system to plan things out in advance, and you'll probably do great.
Yeah, and we're actually releasing a course on, a free course. You can just check it out at navid.me and just go there, check it out. That's really good. And also, like the cheat sheet, the 7-step cheat sheet, the infamous cheat sheet, like Chandler Bolt started with that. A lot of people started with it, made a lot of money by just following the 7 steps. We share more in depth in my program. So virtualsummitmastery.com/cheat sheet is a really good place to go and just grab that cheat sheet, check it out. Then you have the process. We are kind of going through this here a little bit quicker in this interview, but you can still get an idea there by just downloading that and, letting me know what you think. And then, when I have the program open, you're more ready to, take action and join if it's right for you. But let's keep going here with this. So if we talk a little bit promotional strategy, I guess the speakers, like, what do you want to share anything about, like, how you got the speakers on board? Maybe 1 or 2 things there, like what strategy you used?
Yeah. I was basically following what you shared in the program, Virtual Summit Mastery, making the list of all of your top people that you want on your summit. And then I was reaching out to them via email. And one of the key things, I think, well, first of all, in reaching out, really don't talk about yourself so much as to really highlight the opportunity that it is for them to be showcased in front of this new audience that you're gathering. Yep. So that was the key one. And then another was just not to give up. And, so many times I stopped even being attached to, the speaker that I really wanted, and just kept on following what Navid said and just do, follow up every couple of days. Yep. And all of a sudden I was getting people saying yeses that I figured they wouldn't be joining. So those were some big ones, and it was amazing to see.
And you got some big names like Ryan Lee, you had Marissa Murgatroyd, you had Pat Flynn on board. So obviously what you did worked really well to connect with people, build this relationship, and, supporting people afterwards too. You're doing some joint venture partnership. You share that with me now. So you're like doing some more things to take this kind of to the next level. But we talked about the promotional strategies a bit, but anything you would do, maybe even do differently if you would do it the next time? Anything you would like to share here that you consider like, okay, this might work better next time?
Yeah, next time will probably be a little bit just refinements, things like being a little bit more I had my plan up front, but changed a couple of things as I was going. And I just, with the experience of doing a summit, I gained a lot, not only, the success from the summit, but I feel like it increased my ability to do just about anything in online business. So I think, changes in, it gets into the fine details of like, okay, how I would communicate with affiliates and when I would start reaching out for affiliates, stuff like that. But I think I think your program covers the majority of those things. It covers all of those things. So I wouldn't, have people were concerned about how I would do it differently yet.
Awesome. Yeah. That's good. And just like in terms of we talked about this before as well, but how long did it take you to put together the summit from pretty much start to finish? That's always interesting for people to know, like the planning. So I can just share the average is typically between, I think it's around 3 to 4 months for someone who has, they know a little bit what they're doing. Actually, I think the record for someone going through my program is like 2 months, which is really cool. Or even I think someone did like 1.5 to 2 months, but that's just like really quick doing it, like, pretty much joining and just putting everything into action. But I think you were more in the average, kind of like, you can share a little bit there, how long it took for you, Devin.
Yeah, basically it took in total 3.5 months. And I didn't have that. I was actually aiming for a little shorter than that to begin with, but then I started to realize I actually added 10 speakers to my plan was 30 originally, and then I added another 10. So I was like, okay, I need to push this back more. So yeah, 3.5 months.
3.5 months to get, and to get 4,000 email subscribers and $45,000 in revenue. And I can just share this. People are like, oh, for 3.5 months, that's a lot of time. Well, if you're gonna put together a launch, like let's say your first launch, you're probably not going to do 45,000. I mean, 45,000 is really good to do. Like from, this is like with the all access pass and with this with the course, with the premium course you had at the end. So that's just like, very short time frame to just, skyrocket your business pretty much overnight, which is what's the case now. People in your industry, they know about you much more, and you can get into a little bit how it changed everything for you as well. But just gonna see here if you had anything else, in terms of challenges. I want to talk challenges a little bit. Anything you faced along the way there that you would like to share, like in terms of creating, promoting, and launching your summit?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so I had a couple, some of the challenges is that there's just, it's so multifaceted, we're working with, finding speakers, and you're getting your site up, and then there's the campaigns, the communications that, you're crafting to go out to your new audience. So there's a lot of layers to it. So I think one of the challenges was just overwhelm, but I think the key piece is, and you cover this in Virtual Summit Mastery, is the organization around it. So you're doing that planning, so when you're going to need to be doing those things by, and can kind of chunk it into different categories.
Right.
Another interesting one I'll mention that I don't know if you know this, but also it goes back to your community with Virtual Summit Mastery. I had an issue with my site. I didn't even know it was down at one point right before my launch, and Augustus came up.
Yeah, he's saving everyone in the community. He's like so good with that. He's the rock star when it comes to the tech, I think, or the WordPress. So yeah.
So imagine that, you guys. I mean, I had somebody in our group that ended up finding something I didn't even know that was going on right before my summit went live, and we fixed it. And so, that was a challenge, unexpected, and the community saved me.
Awesome. I love that. I didn't know that. So that's good that you shared it. Another thing I wanted to ask is, like, people always ask me this. So what was your cost? Like, keep in mind that Devin here, he earned like 45,000 from this, or that was his revenue from the summit. Yeah, he has some affiliates to pay, but still it was a pretty good chunk. So how much did you pretty much spend to create this? And also you had some tools before all that. So give us the, overview.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tricky to add up, because I did have some of the costs, I was already running my online business. So I'm running with Entreport. So there's a monthly fee with that I was already paying. But in terms of additional costs, it was very, very limited. My WordPress theme, Optimized Press, cost $97 in that case. I had a bumper for my video that we did for all of the summit interviews. That was $47. Gosh, I know you and I were chatting about this. I know some of the other costs. We chose to do transcription, so that added some a cost to that. We did Facebook ads, but the interesting thing with Facebook ads is we really didn't pay anything for the ads, because I was tracking the conversion. So we would boost the summit and then see how many people were buying in just a couple of days, and then put that money right back into the ads and boost it more. So it was really a risk-free kind of a thing there. So
nice. So you would say like maybe a few thousand to get this. So,
yeah, and you could definitely do it less. Absolutely.
Yeah, I share kind of, you can for sure do. If you have even the VSM template now. You had a lot of these things you had to do it yourself, and now we've created like a template for people depending on the level you decide to purchase. In the VSM Complete, for example, we include the template. For the other ones, it's like add-ons. You can like purchase it for pretty low cost. So it's pretty cool. We're just trying to make it easy. Even if you're not tech savvy, we're just trying to make it much, much easier for you. So there's no excuse if you have a low budget. Like, you definitely need some investment, like a few $100 to do it. But that's just costs you would anyway pretty much have for running your business. So I'd say if that's the concern you have, just like screw it. You should just like get over it. The cost you're gonna have with whatever you do, like you can't start a business without investing at least a few $100 into it. That's at least I haven't found like a free business to start at this point.
Yeah.
So
I want to jump in, just share one more quick thing about that,
Yeah,
which
sure.
is, I did spend a couple thousand, but I want people to know that I didn't really, like I said, with the Facebook ads, I wasn't really spending that money until I was actually already getting people purchasing the all access S. So someone was saying, oh, well, there's, if that's a couple $1,000s, I don't have that. Well, actually, you don't have to spend the ad money until you've already made
And we do, depending on the level you invest in Virtual Summit Mastery. I do have training on Facebook ads by my personal ad strategist, Andrew. So he's just going over this. We have trainings for this. So it's pretty valuable as well. But the next thing here is, how has creating this virtual summit really changed your business and life? I think I love you to answer this, because I think people like, this one thing to create this, but what can this do for you? What did it do for your life, Devin?
Gosh, I mean, it really, it's huge. And I'm still actually just seeing some of the benefits. But for me, it was, I've been successful in the past with all the business that I've been doing, but this basically catapulted me to a whole nother level. And doing the summit, interviewing all these speakers, I've met so many incredible people, and it opened the door for me now to do joint venture partnerships with these people when they didn't know me before that. And why would they want to, hang out with me if they don't know me? I mean, I'm cool, but so opening the doors to so many joint venture partnerships. Just having that huge success behind a summit, and how having an email list that whenever, I launched my course right after the summit to my email list, and was able to, I didn't have to work as hard as I was before. And I got way more results in terms of numbers in there. So having building up a following that quickly, and now all these people are, they're there whenever I send out an email, and it's incredible. I could probably go into more of it. I've been sharing my journey on Facebook, so I have to actually go back, but it's like night and day. I feel like my dreams have come true, and I'm doing the things that I want to be doing now versus before. Things were good, but they weren't great. You know what I mean? So
I love that. And I'm gonna, if I can find the screen, the Facebook post, I'm gonna screenshot this and maybe include in the case study on the page this interview will be on, so you can see if you're open to sharing that, Devin, or if you're not.
Totally.
Okay, if you are, that's totally fine. You guys can share. I mean, you see, and just pretty much, there's always a good way also to share your story. I mean, I know I read that post, and a lot of other people liked it and engaged with it, and that's just the way it is. I mean, you are putting in the work, and you deserve the success you got from implementing something. I think it's always important. Like, yes, you can join a program like Virtual Summit Master, like any other program, but if you don't do the work, you're not gonna see the results. Devin actually, yes, he invested in it. He paid, the $1,000+ or whatever. I think you invested in that level, and just got in, with an open mind, also to maybe change some of your approaches, and then just killed it with your summit and did really well. So I really appreciate you for taking action, obviously. Otherwise, we wouldn't sit here today. Right. So that's awesome. And kind of the next thing, I mean, any other, before we're going to get in, what do you think about the program, all that, any other surprises, that came from creating this summit? Maybe anything in your business that you've seen now? I mean, you mentioned a little bit the joint venture partnerships, but anything surprising that you didn't expect from creating the summit?
Wow. Okay. That's a great question. I know I had surprise opportunities along the way. One of the surprises was, like I said, just basically having speakers, not requiring them to promote as we reached out to them. And then big surprises, like not requiring them to promote, which a lot of people usually do. And then all of a sudden finding out that they're going to promote just because they love what's going on. So that was a huge surprise during the summit. Basically, getting lots of invitations for collaboration that I wasn't expecting. I was just surprised at how many people were responding so well. Surprised about the amount of people that were purchasing. There were so many cool things that I was like, wow, okay, this is working.
I love it. I mean, I love it. I mean, I love this for so many reasons. This is great that you didn't even expect, the amount of people to engage with it, to purchase the, all access pass, and, the opportunities can come from just doing something well. I think it sounds good to people, like, okay, you're going to create this, you're going to do it epic, but you follow the system, and that's why you got results too. And like not requiring speakers to promote, that's just, you know, the first thing there, you know, that's not requiring them, but also you gotta keep in mind that there's a lot behind this, how you communicate with them, how you make sure it's in an authentic way, and then you make them promote. I mean, you still can ask them, you can still tell them, hey, we have this summit, you know, here's the material if you want to share it, and like make it easy for them. So that's something you did really well, because I was a partner. I could see what you did behind the scenes a little bit, a glimpse. But now on to kind of the final question, which, you know, I am really excited for you to share openly about, you know, because you are an active member of the Virtual Summit Mastery community. You're a graduate of the program. I'm sure you're going to create more summits. But what do you have to say to someone interested in potentially joining Virtual Summit Mastery and creating their own virtual summit?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, well, if any of those things that we talked about, having your just a larger audience that you can share your offerings with, you know, basically being seen as an authority in your niche and being recognized, if those things are interested to you, definitely check out Virtual Summit Mastery. You've got to do that for those reasons. It's probably, I've done a lot of different online business. You know, I've had a lot of success in doing other types of things besides Summit. This was my first Summit, but I've seen what it takes to create a similar amount of momentum and buzz and these kinds of things. The Summit was absolutely the fastest way to do that. So that's one thing I have to say. And the other is, you know, I was right where you were a couple of months ago, and I'm like, okay, so what is really in Virtual Summit Mastery? What am I going to get when I get there? And so I purchased it, and immediately I'm inside it, seeing how well everything's laid out, module by module, all of this additional content that I didn't even expect. You know, these bonus trainings really about how to reach out to speakers using this one tool, or, you know, things like that. So you'll get that. And then again, like we said about the community, you know, I ended up just basically living in that Facebook group. What do you guys think about this? Or, oh shoot, I ran into this problem. And, you know, so many people coming in to help, including, you know, Navid has helped out so much in there as well, responding to things. So it's this whole community in itself that was absolutely worth the price, because, you know, going through a process like this that is over time, it's so great to have support when something didn't go as expected or just something's new. So that was really incredible. So that, yeah, I'm confident that when you get into Virtual Summit Mastery, that you will be amazed by what Navid has put into this program, and also the community once you join that as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Devin, for sharing. And to anyone who's interested, you're watching this, go check out the cheat sheet over at virtualsummitmastery.com/cheat sheet. You can also go to my personal website, navid.me. You can, you know, at the time, you know, this should go out, you should be able to see their, you know, free, you know, course on virtual summits. Or if this is, you're watching this during a launch, you know, I encourage you to join the program, check it out, and, you know, get in there and create your own successful summit so you can grow your email list rapidly, you know, get more influence and, you know, authority in your space, and also get more revenue. You get, you know, you can sell your online courses by doing this. I mean, as Devin shared here, he got a lot more sales from selling his program as well. And I'm sure this is going to turn into a six-figure business, and potentially like even a multiple six-figure business if he continues like this, connecting with people and doing a lot of the right things here. So with that being said, you know, to everyone watching, thanks so much. And Devin, thanks for coming on here and sharing your story and your, you know, how you implement Virtual Summit Mastery and the success you had. Thanks.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Navid. It's been a pleasure, and I'm just forever grateful for what you put together here. It's completely changed my life. I'm saying this on my own choice for everyone that's watching this here, that, you know, this is one of the absolute best things you can do for your online business right now. So go ahead and check it out and get into Virtual Summit Mastery as soon as you can.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Bye.
All right. Cheers. Bye now.